And now for a review of what's making the headlines in the papers this morning. Let's bring in a RISE analyst, Dr. Constance Ikoku. Good morning, Constance.
Good morning, Charles. I hope you're wonderful today.
Wonderful is an overstatement.
Why are you laughing? Statement of fact. You look good.
You look very good.
Thank you very much. All right, look at the papers read us today. We have Dr. Austin Maho. He is a lecturer at the International Institute of Journalism in Abuja. Hello there and welcome to the program. We'll begin with this day. In this day this morning, we have with $75 barrel budget benchmark, concerns mount as oil price hovers of around $60. Goldman Sachs, Barclays, Morgan Stanley /forecast. Nasima CPPE advised FG to review budget projections. Analysts lower oil price puts economy at risk, creates appetite for borrowing. NLC predicts more hardship for Nigerians. It's always going to be a roller coaster with the volatility of oil price in the international market. Add to that, we haven't been able to meet the crude benchmark of 2.6 million barrels per day. We're still at 1.6 million barrels. So it's no brainer that maybe the budget may have to be revised. Your thoughts on this, Dr. Maho?
Yeah, it's a dire situation. And if you look at the statistics, as you've just read it out, it's no good for the 2025 budget, which is benchmark on oil prices of about $75, per barrel. And now that it has dropped to about, hovering between 60 and $62 per barrel is a big problem. What we even have is a case of double jeopardy, because the budget, the 2025 budget is projected on an oil production of about 2.6 or 2.2 million barrels per day, but we are not even hitting that yet. From the record we have from relevant authorities, we are just in March we did just about 1.6 million barrels. So we are losing based on our inability to meet our OPEC quota, and at the same time we cannot, sell at the projected price of $75 per barrel. So it's actually double jeopardy. But however, government need to recalibrate. However, again, at times, when subsidy was removed from petroleum product, the experts, they give us all kinds of projection, the benefit and thereof. So at times, as a Nigerian, as an average Nigerian, you don't know whether to celebrate the fall or the rise. When oil prices rises, the pump price of oil, of refined crude product is supposed to go up. But when it drops, based on economic matrix, is supposed to equally affect what we are paying for pump price of refined petroleum product. But that's not the case. So Nigeria's economy at times people have described it as voodoo economics, and you cannot understand whether to celebrate high prices or to cry when the prices fall, because the most important thing is the impact it has on the ordinary man on the street. If it doesn't have any impact on me as an ordinary man, I just look at the economic projection and, struggle my shoulders.
Well, these are indicators that we've been dealing with for over 40 years. So we should be used to it by now and know how to handle it. Let's stay with this day newspaper to see the other story. Man and NECA and Dumehil FG's Nigeria First policy. Article to Tinubus, trade your Escalade for innocent. To approve policy, there's Tinubus to choose local hospitals for medicals. Preference for goods and services will stimulate demand. Nevertheless, government has to lead by example, and that's what Alhaji Atiku Abubakar is pointing to, isn't it, Dr. Mahao?
Yeah, definitely. Do you know the trickle-down effect or the ripple effect it will have if Mr. President, for instance, trade his
Escalade.
Yeah, he's wonder on wheels, you know, for an innocent
Wonder on wheels, indeed.
for an innocent,
what a way to describe it. Yeah.
For an innocent vehicle, innocent vehicle.
But that's just one person.
Yes.
I mean, the entire government.
No, that's why I said trickle down effect. You know, at the end of the day, no minister would dare to drive let me not mention that. At the end of the day, we will believe that his ministers, none of them, members of the National Assembly, none of them would dare to go for high-end, you know, Toyota vehicles. Everybody will go local. If Mr. President is driving a low-end, made-in-Nigeria vehicle, everybody will definitely fall in line. And I think it's a good thing. However, this is, you know, at times, policy pronouncements, executive orders, they are good. But having the political will to drive it down, to make sure that it is effected is what is important. This is not the first time we are having a government. Buhari did it, you know, with an executive order that we should go Nigeria. But we hope that with the Tinubus pronouncement, which you can even link to the first story, you know, revenues are dropping. You don't have that funds anymore. The fund is not there for you to be pumping into luxury items. We have to go Nigeria. We have to grow Nigeria. And the only way to do that is to go local, source for what we have locally in order to, you know, to boost our economy, create a multiplier effect on all sectors of the economy.
Indeed. Again, action will make the difference. Let's see Daily Independent. Lawyers storm NAS demand takeover of Benue Zamfara assemblies. These over 1,000 lawyers under the Save Benue and Zamfara coalition in a petition claim the two houses of assembly have been unable to perform constitutional duties due to interference by their state governors. The crux of the matter is that in Zamfara, 10 lawmakers were suspended since February by the governor Dauda Lawal for raising the alarm over insecurity. In Zamfara, on the other hand, 13 members were suspended for allegedly refusing instructions by Governor Hyacinth Alea to suspend the chief judge of the state. The Benue Assembly has rejected invitation to appear before the National Assembly. Charles, Benue is your state. It looks like it's lawlessness everywhere. We do know that the governors have overbearing influence on the state assemblies. But if this report is true, it will be unacceptable to any sane Nigerian.
It does appear that legislatures are becoming rubber stamps for the executives all over the country. It just doesn't start from Benue State alone. Let's start from the National Assembly. I mean, the Senate president did say that they are there to support the president. Also, Benue State as well, the majority of the members of the State House of Assembly, for some reason, are also acting as rubber stamps for the governor. But then there is also a section of the House that is loyal to the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, who is very clear, has been at loggerheads with the state governor. So the State House of Assembly is divided into two polarizing camps. Those who are not loyal to the state governor are the ones who have the short end of the stick. Well, the situation in Zamfara State, I'm not very sure about what is going on there, but in Benue State, that is the case. But so we have two state houses of assembly that are polarized for whatever reason. Well, the lawyers are saying that if this situation is not controlled, it will spread to the National Assembly. And I'm also asking, how is that going to happen? And then, of course, they're also saying that it might also lead to the declaration of a state of emergency in both states. Well, I think that might likely happen. It's not very far-fetched because it happened in Rivers State nonetheless. Right. But then I think what these lawyers are doing is just creating a storm in a teacup. The situation in Benue State is there, but the other lawmakers who are not loyal to the governor are on suspension at the moment.
A storm in the teacup, Charles, a situation where the governors can arbitrarily intervene in the state assemblies and act out of order.
Remember, I started by saying that
I mean, it's not new.
legislatures
It's always
apparently
over
are
the years.
becoming rubber stamps
Right.
of the executive everywhere.
Okay, let's stay with Daily Independent. This other story, Delta Speaker, 21 other PDP members defect to APC. No surprises there since the governor, Sheriff Oborewori, has already Oborewori, right?
It's a mouthful.
Has already, yes, a mouthful, has already decamped to the APC. Moving on to Daily Trust, how import waivers are crippling local rice mills. Rice millers said the import waivers on maize, sorghum, and rice is hurting their businesses. We know that the government approved a 150-day waiver on these items, and the Nigeria Customs Service says the waiver has caused of food prices to drop. The policy was to run from only July 15 to December 2024, but did not kick off immediately. While this is a temporary measure, Dr. Maho, to mitigate the impact of food crisis, so I think it's going to taper off with time, I believe. Any comment here?
Yeah, expectedly it should taper off with time. But however, it brings to mind government in what I would describe as government inconsistency in terms of policy direction. Because, during the Buhari era, there was this rice initiative when a lot of state government, especially Lagos State, I think, Akwa Ibom, they were building rice mill all over the country, in order to offtake rice, especially from states like Kebbi, because Nigeria wanted to be self-sufficient in rice production. And of course, this will have impact on our food security situation. So if those that have made this massive investment in building rice mills across the country, believing that Nigeria has a market to offtake what they will be producing at the end of the day, and at the same time, the same government that came up with this policy is giving duty waivers for importers to flood, the domestic market with rice. What are you telling the investor? So these are some of the questions that government need to look at, and that's why I said this policy inconsistency. But we can equally understand that government on the side may be between the devil and the deep blue sea, because you don't know what to do when the prices of, food is skyrocketing. So the only way to bridge that gap at times is to go for importation.
And that was for a very short period.
But let's also not forget the fact that Nigeria is facing an imminent food crisis. If the security situation is not contained, the food producing areas, the north central and most of the north is actually under siege from bandits, from armed herdsmen, and also from Boko Haram terrorists. So probably it's a measure by the government to balance out the equation. But then if the situation is allowed to go out of control, then we might just be depending on imported rice.
A New Telegraph this morning, a 2027 opposition's coalition causing panic in Tinubus camp, according to Atiku. Kwankwaso stranded. Tinubu will win Kano without him, according to Ganduje. Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, based on this statement, or he said based on the broad alliance with other opposition parties towards 2027, say Tinubu is panicking. I don't know about panic that he's talking about. The APC seems unstoppable, at least for now. It is an unfortunate turn of events, but it's what it is. I mean, Dr. Maho, what do you see?
It is what it is. What it is. It's like the political season, came early this time around. The current administration have not even done 2 years. And at times I find it embarrassing that we should talk about 2027.
And when you drive around, you see the vehicles with the posters.
Everywhere, billboards everywhere. It's an embarrassment. Like I always say, we fight before election, we fight during election, we fight after election. What time do we have to now talk about things that really affect the ordinary man on the street? Nigeria is not all about politics. Politicians should shield their sword and allow Mr. President and hold Mr. President accountable to his electoral promises and his current term in office.
Okay, let's quickly add Daily Sun. Can we pull up Daily Sun? Still on that story. Edo Assembly Speaker, LG Chairman orders defect to APC 2 LP members joined PDP in Enugu, 6 Delta reps, Assembly Speaker, 21 others. PDP members join APC. So it's a blowout, a harvest of defectors. The APC is on a roll, Charles, isn't it?
Absolutely. The situation in Edo State, for me, it was inevitable. I was even surprised that the Speaker of the Edo State House of Assembly was from the opposition People's Democratic Party when the governor was from the APC. But then, of course, I mean, that's the wind that's blowing across the country when the state houses of assembly have to align with the executive. So yeah, what's up? Excuse me. What is happening in Edo State? What happened in Delta State? Maybe a spillover effect from that is what is naturally to be expected, a natural consequence.
The Guardian newspaper, over 75% of Lagos food are supplied from other states, says the Lagos State government. This is despite the fact that it has been training over 100,000 farmers and fishermen. But the state is promoting urban farming initiatives and said the Ekpe Food and Logistics Hub will push the state's food value chain to 14 trillion naira. You see, that's one of the advantages of living in Abuja. You have a wide selection of fresh fruits and vegetables at affordable prices. I remember going to Lagos sometime last year, and a friend told me just a piece of avocado was at about 2,000 naira, some ridiculous price.
Certainly.
Again, I mean, you live in an urban city where there's limited land to farm.
Exactly.
So
that's the situation with Lagos.
Yeah.
I mean, arable land is probably not available unless you travel to the far reaches of the state like Badagry and Ekpe. That's where you might find farmland. And so agriculture is not a very big thing with Lagos, and that's why the state has to depend on food imported from other states for subsistence.
Even the areas you talk about, real estate is moving to those,
exactly.
Development. Let's quickly scan through some headlines here. In Vanguard newspaper, insecurity, Nigerians will revolt if action not taken, according to reps. VDM not held. VDM not told why he's being detained. Banks' borrowings from CBN drops 97% to 380 billion naira. Then we also have here Leadership newspaper, falsehood merchants behind GMO controversy, according to experts. We have Punch newspaper, rising insecurity, NAS as generals demand urgent military rearmament. Let's move on to the international headlines. Daily Graphic, agri value chain needs reforms, according to Stanbic Bank Chief Executive. Then Citizen newspaper, a sad story, rugby. Why did our son die? A tragic story in South Africa where Villano Sanders, 20, broke his neck during a rugby match and died. The family is going to be suing the coach. He was a second-year student. Then the Times newspaper, anger as Indian pay off in biggest deal since Brexit. This £5 billion a year trade deal with India will offer controversial tax breaks to Indian companies and workers. And a lot of the citizens are not having this. Not sure what this backlash is about, but the UK, since Brexit, they have to make deals, and that's what is happening. Very briefly, Dr. Maho.
The UK need to make deal, and since Brexit, this will seem as one of the largest trade deal they are having with a former colony, India. India is India has...
It's a rising economy.
Yeah, a rising economy with very healthy middle class, and of course, with a population of 1.4 billion, the largest in the world. The UK going into tariff agreement with them to cut down tariff on most goods, would certainly benefit the UK. But the concern by, I was reading the story earlier on by some politician in Britain, especially Farage, is that, look, what about the immigration component of it? Are you going to open your doors now for Indian migrants to flood the UK? That's the concern. But at the end of the day, I think it's a good one for the British government.
It's a deal. Then let's go to Daily Mirror. Message to care, not good enough. Anger as Tama rules at winter fuel U-turn. MPs are calling on him to have a rethink. you know, during the elections last year, it was a blowout for Reform UK, and Keir Starmer is not listening to anyone. I think that Labour eventually is going to pay for this. And then finally, Financial Times, Merz secures German chancellorship, but voting exposes coalition's fragility. I'm afraid we'll have to leave it there. Dr. Austin Maho, lecturer at the International Institute of Journalism in Abuja, thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you so much, Dr. Constance, for anchoring the newspaper review as usual. But that's all we have time for here on Daybreak. It's goodbye from me, Charles Eruka. Please do keep it here on Arise News. The morning show is up next.